37, the meeting will come to order. Are you all set, Jen?
Yes.
This is Jill Spear, Chair of the Library Board, and I'd like to welcome you to the virtual meeting of the March 22nd, 2021 meeting of the Library Board. Because in-person attendance at public meetings is likely to increase the risk of transmission of COVID-19, this meeting is being conducted today in accordance with Governor Lamont's Executive Order, originally 7B, and its subsequent extensions, which permit municipalities to conduct public meetings virtually. Board members and some of the library staff are participating by video conference, and members of the public can view the meeting live on West Hartford Community Television or on West Hartford Community Interactive Comcast Channel 96 and Frontier TV Channel 6099, that's 6099, or at www.whctv.org. This meeting is being recorded for on-demand viewing and will be available on the town and the library's websites after the meeting. Because of the virtual format of this meeting, there are some special rules and procedures that we need to cover before the meeting begins. First, all participants, please mute your devices when you're not speaking. If you wish to be recognized, please raise your hand and I will call on you. If you're participating via audio only and I do not call on you during a discussion, before the end of the discussion period ends, I would ask you to unmute your phone, and Janet, you'll help me to unmute Eileen's phone, correct? And let me know that if you need to be recognized. Okay. Second, pursuant to Governor Lamont's executive orders, all speakers must state their name and title each time they speak. Third, because of the difficulty in tallying votes on a video conference, we're requiring that the votes be taken by roll call. Fourth, a reminder that if any participant has problems with their connection, you should immediately call Janet Valensis, whose number you have beforehand, and she will let us know it's a structural problem and we need to recess the meeting. If the problem can't be resolved quickly, we'll ask everyone to call back in using their phone. I will now call the roll and note the staff members who are present. David Brandwein.
David Brandwein, board member, present.
Gail Crockett.
Gail Crockett, library board member, present.
Gail, just so you know, when you're not speaking, if you're unmuted, I'm muting you because otherwise we get background noise.
Okay, well, I was muted, so I unmuted to speak.
Yes. Yeah, just know that sometimes I'm muting you so that we don't have background noise.
Okay. Eileen Daly. Janet, can you unmute Eileen?
No, for some reason I can't.
Eileen, oh, she's.
It says request sent, but it won't let me unmute her like I can unmute anybody else.
Eileen, if you can hear us, can you try, I believe, *7, I believe on a cell phone, that will unmute you.
Yeah, I guess I've never tried to just send it says request sent and it won't let me unmute it.
I've had that happen during some classes and the person then has to unmute, but they're on a computer usually, and I'm not sure if Eileen's actually on an iPad or a actual cell phone. Let's pause for 2 seconds here. And I'm going to just try. I'm going to try to resend Eileen the link and to see if 660, excuse me a second.
I wasn't on mute to start. I never muted it.
She's back, Jill.
Oh, she is. Oh, thank you. Sorry, my screen is obscured.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can
Yes.
you hear
Eileen.
me?
Yes.
Okay.
Eileen Daly.
Eileen Daly, library board member. Oh, and
Before we finish the roll call, well, let's finish the roll call and then let's deal with this technical problem. Kim Cohen,
Kim Cohen, Library Board Member, present.
Jill Spear, Library Board Chair, present. Okay, before we begin the meeting, because we've not really had a lot of members trying to call in before. Eileen, did you have to come out and come back in?
the computer or my phone?
Are you dialing in audio from a computer or dialing audio from a cell phone?
Audio from a cell phone.
Okay, Janet, here's my, I propose that we just leave Eileen unmuted and unless it gets to be a static problem or something. And Eileen, if that's all right with you, you don't have a lot of background noise, and I'm a little worried that if this happens every time, we'll keep losing you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
is that all right?
No, yeah, that's fine. Thanks.
Okay, so let's proceed with that way. All right, little hiccup. All right. Our first agenda item is public comment, and we have no public comment. The second agenda item is approval for the consent agenda, items 3, 8AI, 8AII, and 8AIII. Do have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Chair recognizes Gail Crockett.
Gail Crockett, library board member, moves to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you, Gail. Do we have a second? Chair recognizes David Brandwein.
David Brandwein, Library Board Member, second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, I'll call the roll. David Brandwein.
David Brandwein, Library Board Member, yes.
Gail Crockett.
Gail Crockett, library board member, yes.
Eileen Daly.
Eileen Daly, library board member, present, yes.
Kim Cohen.
Kim Cohen, Library Board Member, yes.
And Jill Spear. Jill Spear, Library Board Chair, yes. The motion is passed. Thank you. Our next agenda items, the President's Report. First off, I'd like to welcome Eileen to the Library Board. She's already
For my rough entry, sorry to botch things up at the beginning.
No. It's a little. This technology is always a learning experience each time you try it. So you entered with a splash.
Yeah.
So Eileen, the board like to extend a hearty welcome to you, and I thought you would give you the opportunity just to provide a little background about yourself.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad to become a part of this board. My first job was as a library page at Russell Library in Middletown. And so that was the beginning of, not the beginning, but the continuation of the library love affair. And, I think the libraries are the center of a town, and in whatever form they take. And I'm glad to be part of your board here in West Hartford. So I've been in here in West Hartford with my husband and daughter for like 20 years, and went to school here, Hartford College for Women and St. Joe's. So glad to support everyone here.
Thank you.
Hello? Okay.
That's great. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for serving the community. Our next item under the President's Report is at the opposite end. It's a recognition of David Brandwein's many, many years of service to the community in the library as a volunteer, and then as a foundation member, and then as a library board member. And David is dropping off the library board and the foundation. However, he's not leaving town as far as we know, and we'll still see his face around. So David, thank you again.
Thank you, Jill. It's been almost 10 years that I've been on either the foundation or the library board, and it's been a wonderful run. There are a number of other things I want to do, but my love affair with the library will continue. And the library board is in great hands, and the library is in great hands. And just always remember, it's the latest, it's the greatest, it's the library. Thanks.
Thank you, David. All right. Our next agenda item is old business. And the first item under old business is an update on the fiscal year 22 budget. And Chair recognizes Carol Waxman.
Good evening, Carol Waxman, Interim Library Director. A draft of the fiscal year 22 budget was submitted to the Department of Financial Services in January in compliance with the town finance strategy for a zero increase to the library budget. The second round of reviews indicate a proposed budget reduction of 3.6% or $118,905 from the fiscal year 21 adopted budget. The town is limiting hiring for a number of open positions as part of the overall financial strategy to limit potential tax increases for residents during the pandemic. Additionally, the town is canceling a number of planned smaller capital projects. The library proposed budget, before it is approved by the town council, now stands at $3,211,110. The number of authorized full-time positions will remain the same as fiscal year 21, which is 24 positions. The reduction is shown in the non-funded programs and publicity librarian 2 position. The position remains intact, but is not funded for the upcoming budget year, which means we will not be filling the position for a year, and only half a year's salary for the position of library director, which will only be funded from January 2022 until June 2022. If the library board is successful in recruiting a new director and wishes to onboard that person before January 1st, 2022, part of that salary will be taken from other budget lines. Adjustments to the detailed budget line items will be developed to align with the proposed budget reduction. The library has been authorized to fill the open position of Librarian 1 in reference in order to continue the important work that our reference and all the other staff are doing to assist not only our patrons, but town government. The West Hartford libraries have stepped up and raised their hand to assist other town departments in these ways during the pandemic. Served as a triage center to answer calls to town hall departments from all residents from March 2020 for a period of 6 months. Our team of graphic artists continue to work with the town to create slides, flyers, banners, logos, infographics, and anything else needed. The library programs and publicity specialist meets bi-weekly with the town publicity specialist to collaborate on programming and publicity. Library staff formatted and staff the vaccination information line. Library staff serve on emergency committees formed to determine policy and procedures for COVID-19 related activities. Library staff volunteer at the weekly vaccine clinics. The essential work for the position that will remain unfilled for fiscal year 2020, Librarian 2 for programs and publicity, is being covered by existing staff, enabling the library to flex to address demand. The impact of the reduction in the library budget will continue to be assessed as the library operation is adjusted through the pandemic. The town's entire proposed budget was presented to the town council on March 11th. I attended a town council committee of the whole meeting on March 17th with other departments. Director of Financial Services Peter Privatera and Town Manager Matt Hart led detailed department budget reviews. Town council members had an opportunity to ask questions. They did not have questions about the library's proposed budget, and several council members complimented the West Hartford Public Library on its service to the community. The town council's budget hearings for the public are currently scheduled for the afternoon of March 30th and the evening of April 8th.
Thank
And
you, Carol.
Thank you.
I just want to note that I attended the town council, well, it's not council, committee of the whole, I guess it's called, review on March 11th, and Carol did a wonderful job of listening to hours worth before it finally got to the library. And there were very positive things, as Carol says, about the library. And I want to point out that Matt clearly articulated that he himself personally, appreciates all the library has done for the community and for the town, and that that he recognizes that the director position reports to the library board. He pointed out to finance, so that even though it's not funded for the second half of the year, the financial aspects and the trade-offs are there should we find it appropriate to onboard someone during that time period. So he actually pointed that out. Did I miss anything, Carol?
I think that's it.
Yep. So discussion, questions for Carol? Thank you. That was really thorough, Carol. Thank you. Our next agenda item under old business is just an update on the Smart Locker project.
Carol Waxman, Interim Library Director. A committee is now studying the use of smart lockers, a system that allows patrons the flexibility to pick up holds from a storage locker outside the library buildings in order to make a recommendation about the purchase of this product and to seek private grant funding. Patrons would be able to pick up their holds even when the library is closed. A smart locker system is a combination of individual storage containers, electronic smart lock hardware, and identification hardware and software applications for managing access. We have identified several vendors and have received price quotes as well as product reviews from libraries that have purchased these smart locker systems. The Smart Locker Project Committee is comprised of the library board chair, the circulation supervisor, the technology services librarian, our branch operations manager, the interim library director, and 2 members of the community who bring additional technology experience and add community linkage to the initiative. Potential sites for the smart locker installations in all library buildings have been visited and approved by the town planner and the zoning enforcement officer. There is a pandemic-driven demand for contactless interactions. The implementation and integration of this system would be a factor in deciding how services will be delivered post-pandemic. It is far simpler for patrons to pick up items totally at their convenience, safely and securely. It is expected that curbside service will be in place post-pandemic and into the future. Our patrons have become accustomed to the convenience of curbside pickup, and we have received many accolades about this service. Overall, we have booked almost 29,000 curbside appointments via this delivery method since the beginning of June 2020, about 150 daily, with no sign of slowing up anytime soon. With the installation of smart lockers outside of the library buildings, patrons would continue to place items on hold, either through the online catalog or by calling the library and speaking to a staff member. Once the requested item is available for pickup, items would be placed in the smart lockers outside of the buildings for pickup at the convenience of the patron. The lockers can eventually be installed at all 3 West Hartford locations, with the one at Bishop's Corner being the first to use as a prototype, and so that we can review the success of the project before expanding it to other library buildings. We are looking for multiple sources of private or community funding for the project and have applied to the West Hartford Greater Together Fund of the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving with a letter of intent to request the middle of a grant proposal. We were successful in getting confirmation that we can apply for this grant in the maximum amount of $7,500. Grants are due at the end of April, and an announcement will be made at the end of June to those who are successful. We plan to request funding from the West Hartford Library Foundation and other community sponsorships. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Any questions or discussion? Chair recognizes David Brandwein.
David Brandwein, Library Board Member. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Carol. So I happened to do a curbside pickup of a book at Bishop's today and got inside the book this handy dandy card, which has a few questions. But it doesn't say what I'm supposed to do with this card.
Oh,
So do I just leave it in the book when I return the book and assume somebody will find it?
yes, David, that would be fine.
Okay.
We'll,
And is there going to be a link to a survey on the library website?
we don't have a plan for that now, but we can certainly take that into consideration.
Just think about it. Secondly, recognizing that you have no idea whatsoever about what type of system you might get, assuming we decide to go forward with this, do you even have a ballpark upper limit of what this might cost?
Jill, would you like to respond or would you like me to respond?
And you can respond because you'll have the exact numbers. I have the ballpark number.
Well, okay. So I regret to tell you that I don't have the exact numbers because we're still waiting for product reviews from people who have the lockers, who have purchased the lockers. So I will be speaking to our technical services librarian. As soon as she has that information, I will be happy to share with you.
Okay, let me rephrase the question.
Okay.
Is it likely to be less than 50,000, less than 100,000, less than 200,000? Just really big, broad numbers.
Per site. Per site.
Per site, between $24,000 and $40,000.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Dave, for Chair, I'll recognize Gail next, but David, that was part of the rationale for the staff proceeding with a feasibility study and one site to shake out it. Or once they select something, it's selecting with the feasibility of understanding and shaking out that one site before making the commitment to all three sites. So they're doing the base work with the town with the potential, but it's a hefty amount of money. And that's also just, Carol said it, but I want to make it very clear to any of the public listening. As you recall, Carol pointed out that the budget for fiscal year 22 will not have major, any capital projects done. This will not be covered by your town taxes at all. No money from the town taxes. It is entirely funded by either grants or public donations, whatever. So certainly anyone in the town who'd like to contribute or voice their opinion, they can contact the library board. You can also contact clearly the director herself, but feel free to put in comments about that. Pretty exciting project, but we have to go forward with it on our own financially. The chair recognizes Gail Crockett. You had a comment?
Yes, actually, I had a question for Carol. Do you have, and given everything that was just said, probably you might not, do you have any idea how much money you'd be coming to the foundation for? And two, still with all those unknown variables, and it has to be funded by grants or private donations, if you don't get enough money, those sources to cover this project, is the project then tabled?
Thank you for your question, Gail. This is Carol Waxman, Interim Library Director. Yes, I understand the question and we are discussing that. There are many options. We may be able to purchase a system that is less money than one we hope to get, or we will continue to seek funding from other places. We don't have a timetable to end this project. It doesn't have to be done by any particular time.
Okay. Gail Crockett, Library Board Member. And one follow-up question is, so are you planning to, in advance of hopefully receiving funding, communicate to the public that this is something the library is an initiative, and that when I heard you say we were asking for donations, how will they know how to do that? I mean, I'm just wondering, don't you think you should give people some heads up towards this as you move towards the completion of your review and analysis with the group, your study target, well, not target group, but your committee?
Chair recognizes Carol.
Right. Yes, Gail, good question. We're a bit unsure as to how we're going to proceed with this now. We want the public to know through the survey that David just held up for everybody that we would like to offer this to the public. But the funding is always a challenge. So I hope after discussion with the library board in different formats and the Library Foundation in different formats, we'll be able to answer your question more fully.
And if I, this is Library Board Chair Jill Spear, I'd like to comment on that. As a member of the committee that's working on this, my input to the committee is not to think short term. We don't want to get something that it doesn't meet the requirements just because it's cheaper. You know, the whole point is to get something that's durable and test it out. And in terms of launching a funding effort, there's Carol's team has a little project plan, and they're not at the point yet until they get some more quotes to issue something to the public, other than David held up a survey just for some initial input. Is that fair to say, Carol?
Yes, Jill, absolutely. We want them to know a little bit, but we want to know more ourselves before we let anybody else know more.
Okay.
Chair recognizes Gail Crockett. Continue, Gail.
Gail Crockett, Library Member. I promise this is my last question because you'll just trigger something in my brain. So let's say it's all good and we get it together, the money comes in, we find the system, it goes up. So what is the maintenance cost going to be for the library after that, and how will that be funded?
That's all part of the study. So I'm sorry, Carol, I preempted you, but that's all part of the study, and the requirements is, you know, capital investment, maintenance, where would that funding come from? So I think it's pretty comprehensive study to figure all that out. And also, hence, one site, shake it out, which is everything, not just it's weather durable, not just that people, so based on some financial analysis and projections, but also, you know, what would be the funding going forward for it. It is literally like an extension of the building.
Thank you. Good
questions. And I hope those kind of questions come from, you know, eventually the community as well will be asking those sort of things. Excuse me. My apologies. My watch is ringing. Okay. Any other questions about the smart locker project? All right. Thank you. That's the end of our old business items. The next item is new business, library staff training event. The chair recognizes Carol Waxman.
Yes, thank you. So every year we do have a staff day that is always very informative. All staff, part-time and full-time, attend. And it's usually in March or April or May. Unfortunately, Staff Day 2020 was canceled because that was the beginning of the pandemic and all staff were sent home. The libraries were closed for a while. We'd like to offer a 2-hour version of Staff Day with information about new products and services that we have so that all staff may gather. The people who are in the building will gather, others via Zoom. The branches, of course, will be attending. It will be the first time that the whole staff is together, except for occasional morning meetings, all via Zoom, in a while. We feel it's very important to have the staff all together to listen to everything that is new, to suggest, to chat, to commiserate, to plan. And we would like to open 1 hour late on one day and have a meeting from 9 to 11 and then open our buildings one day in May.
Okay, so this is an adjustment to the schedule, even though it's only usually we vote on the full staff day to have the libraries closed that day. So in this case, it is an adjustment to schedule. It's a little different than the COVID stuff. The director's been searching those on our own back and forth based on the town directive. So In this case, we need a motion from the board to approve opening late in order to have a staff training day. Do I have a motion? The chair recognizes Kim Cohen.
Kim Cohen, Library Board Member. I so move.
And do we have a second? Chair recognizes David Brandwein. David, you're on mute.
David Brandwein, Library Board Member, second.
Right. A motion is made and seconded to open the library an hour late on the date to be determined, correct, Carol?
Yes, sometime in May.
Sometime in May. Any discussion? Okay, with no discussion, I'd like to take the roll. The vote, David Brandwein,
David Brandwein, Library Board Member, yes.
Gail Crockett,
Gail Crockett, Library Board Member, approve.
Kim Cohen,
Kim Cohen, Library Board Member. Yes.
Eileen Daly,
Eileen Daly, Library Board Member, yes.
and Jill Spear, Library Board Chair, yes. The motion is approved. Thank you. That's all the business we have under new business, and the next item is the current monthly briefing of the director's report. Chair recognizes Carol Waxman.
Thank you. The West Hartford libraries combined have had over 1,400 browsing and computer tech appointments this month. Curbside pickups are nearing 29,000 since the inception of this service in June. The percentage of libraries open to the public for browsing and computer appointments in the state of Connecticut remains at 74%, and we are among those open buildings. Hours for browsing and computer appointments in the Noah Webster Library will be extended starting April 5th from 2 to 5, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Open hours will now be Mondays through Fridays 10 to 5 and Saturdays 10 to 1. The branch hours will remain the same for now. Even though Governor Lamont stated that all libraries can open at 100% capacity, which means that we could open our doors with no restrictions and hundreds of people might enter starting March 19th. In the interest of the health and safety of our library staff and patrons, the West Hartford libraries will continue to be open by appointment only for browsing, computer, and curbside pickup. Daily averages for Noah Webster range now from 30 to 90 people. Walk-ins will be accommodated. Masks and social distancing inside of the buildings and at the curbside pickup tables will still be required. In partnership with West Hartford Social Services, the senior centers, and the West Hartford Bloomfield Health District, the West Hartford libraries are continuing to offer a vaccination information line for callers to receive information about the COVID-19 vaccines. The service began on February 8th. We continue to staff the phone line from 10 to 5 daily and 10 to 1 on Saturday, and will keep the line open until residents no longer need the service. To date, we have received nearly 800 calls with questions ranging from how to register for and receive the vaccine, how to schedule a homebound appointment in which paramedics administer the dose in the resident's home, who is eligible in what phase to receive the vaccine, how to schedule a second dose, and many more topics. Callers are told that if their inquiry cannot be resolved by receiving information from library staff, the call will be returned within 24 hours by a specialist in another department, homebound, social worker, health district staff, and that they will have a plan of action to resolve their problem. The West Hartford Vaccination Information Line has received publicity from newspapers and television news. We have been interviewed and photos have been taken. Now that all age groups will soon be able to receive the vaccine, and these age groups mostly have transportation, are not homebound, and are computer literate, the calls are dropping to about 25 calls instead of the previous 50 each day. 16 of our library staff continue to volunteer on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday clinics at the vaccine clinics at Town Hall or Conard High School. They took part in clinics to vaccinate all of the teachers in West Hartford, as well as members of the community. We have been informed by the town manager that the town is considering the acquisition of a property in Elmwood that could potentially serve as a site of a new community cultural center and library branch. He has included funds for the acquisition of the new property in the first year of the proposed FY 2022 through 33 capital improvement plan. If ultimately approved by the town council, this will be a multi-year project involving all relevant stakeholders, including the library board and library staff. He emphasizes that there is no immediate timetable to relocate either the Elmwood Community Center or the Faxon Branch Library to the new location. We will study the options in a thorough and judicious manner to make the best decision for the town. It is exciting to think about the potential of a new and updated facility to serve Elmwood and the larger community. Town Manager Hart expects to make a formal recommendation to the town council soon and will keep us apprised of that timetable. The Physical Spaces Committee has been moving forward with seeking proposals to improve the acoustical challenges in the adult gallery space on the main floor of the Noah Webster Library. In order to create quiet study space in this area, sound baffling materials need to be installed. We are receiving quotes for baffles to place in the areas above the art panels and will seek funding for these in the near future. We are also studying ways to socially distance those using computers post-pandemic by moving computers from the computer lab to various locations on the main floor. I'd like to speak briefly about partnership projects with the town that are happening. For Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in May, the libraries will offer a Zoom panel discussion on the Asian American experience with local residents. Children will attend a Korean lantern workshop, and a list of children's books will be prepared. The holiday of Juneteenth on June 19th will be celebrated locally with a series of programs and events. A planning committee is underway. Connecticut Murals is partnering with the town of West Hartford in order to paint a large-scale mural that will represent the messages, images, and symbols of Dr. Martin Luther King, along with highlighting other local and national civil rights leaders. The mural will be an expansive work of art painted on the south side of the Noah Webster Library on the brick wall and revealed on May 27th. Volunteers will also be invited to paint alongside an artist. There will be a Bear Fair outdoor exhibition in West Hartford in the coming months. This will be similar to the Cow Parade you may recall from 2003, and due to popular demand, it was held again in 2008. Businesses or individuals may purchase a plain white fiberglass bear. Each bear will be painted by a local artist who receives a stipend. There will be a fundraising event to auction off the bears, and the Faxon Branch Library has been approached as a possible beneficiary from some of the fundraising. We have been asked by the Children's Museum in West Hartford to be a partner in their potential grant project, in which they will offer programs at the Faxon Branch Library, and that funding will also be from West Hartford Greater Together. We've received 2 other opportunities to partner for that same opportunity from the Golden Door Center for Immigrants and another organization for learning English. For May Mental Health Month, we will be offering programs such as, what do you want to ask about your children's sleep habits? Should I teach my child to see color? And identifying anxiety and depression in your child. Our recruitment for the Adult Services Librarian 1 position ended on March 12th, and we will be interviewing candidates shortly. Our library staff, both full and part-time, are now receiving vaccinations at the town hall clinics as soon as their age groups are eligible. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Carol. Questions for the board, from the board, rather. Comments? Eileen, if, since you can't raise your hand, feel free to just speak out.
Thank you. I'm all set. It was quite comprehensive.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol. That was really comprehensive, as Eileen said. Well, that was our last agenda item. And I am now, our next board meeting is on April, I'm sorry, Janet, oops, I always forget to look ahead. Hold on one second.
April 26th.
Thank you very much. April 26th. It's on my personal calendar. I just don't forget to look it up for this. So April 26th at 6:30. Do I have an motion to adjourn at 7:18? Chair recognizes Gail Crockett.
Gail Crockett, Library Board Member, I move for the meeting.
Do we have a second? Chair recognizes Kim Cohen.
Kim Cohen, Library Board Member, I second.
Thank you. A motion's been made and seconded. I'll now call the roll. David Brandwein?
David Brandwein, Library Board Member. Yes, let's adjourn. Thank you.
Gail Crockett?
Gail Crockett, Library Board Member, gonna miss you, David.
Kim Cohen?
Yeah, Kim Cohen, Library Board Member, yes.
Eileen Daly?
Eileen Daly, Library Board Member, yes.
Jill Spear, Library Board Chair, yes. The meeting is adjourned at 7:19. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, David.
Bye, David.
Good night, everyone. Hope to see you next time.